In the early morning, the sun was barely rising, casting a soft golden light on the garden where Gautama Buddha sat in peaceful silence. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and his disciples gathered around him, observing his serene presence. The tranquility of the moment was soon interrupted by the quiet footsteps of a man approaching the garden. This man had spent his entire life in the service of Lord Rama. He was a devout follower, having built many temples in honor of his deity and constantly chanting the name of Lord Rama. Despite all his years of devotion and unwavering belief in God, something felt incomplete. He had spent his life in pursuit of spiritual growth, yet, after so many years, he found himself empty, unable to achieve the realization he sought. Now, in the twilight of his years, this man had a question that had been troubling him for a long time. Is there a God? He was uncertain and wanted to understand the truth behind his beliefs. Having heard of the enlightened Buddha, the man thought to himself, if anyone can provide the truth, it must be Gautama Buddha. And so, he decided to go to Buddha to finally resolve the confusion in his heart. The man approached Buddha cautiously, as if unsure of the proper way to ask his question. He wanted to be certain that no one would overhear their conversation. Quietly, he stepped forward, and with deep respect, he addressed Buddha. Man, O Tathagata, please tell me the truth. I have dedicated my entire life to the worship of Lord Rama, and I have always believed in God. Yet, after all these years of devotion, I have not experienced the realization I seek. Is there a God or not? Buddha, with his intuitive wisdom, immediately understood the man's deep attachment to his belief in God. With calm certainty, Buddha looked the man in the eyes and responded, without hesitation, Buddha, no, my friend, there is no God. The man was completely taken aback. His entire life had been devoted to the worship of God, to the belief that God was the center of his spiritual path. And now, here was Buddha telling him that there was no God at all. The shock was overwhelming. For the first time, he questioned everything he had lived by. His heart was full of confusion, and with many unanswered questions, he silently walked away, unsure of what to believe. As the day progressed and the evening sun began to set, Buddha was once again sitting in the garden, surrounded by his disciples. But this time, a different man arrived. This man was a staunch materialist, an atheist who had spent his entire life spreading the belief that there was no God. He had convinced many others of this, and his arguments against the existence of God had been powerful. He had often engaged with priests and scholars, defeating them in debates, and was proud of his ability to disprove the concept of a higher being. However, as this man grew older, a new doubt began to creep into his mind. He thought to himself, what if I've been wrong all along? What if there is a God? The doubt gnawed at him, and he could no longer ignore it. His entire life had been spent convincing others that there was no God, but now he realized that if he was wrong, his life's work would have been in vain. He was troubled by the possibility that he had been blind to the truth, and so, with a heavy heart, he sought out Buddha to finally get an answer. The man approached Buddha, his face reflecting the inner turmoil he felt. He addressed Buddha with a hint of uncertainty, unlike the confident tone he had carried in the past when arguing his atheism. Man, you are said to be enlightened. Please, tell me the truth. Is there a God or not? Buddha, sensing the man's disbelief and confusion, responded with a voice full of firm conviction. Buddha, yes, my friend, there is a God. The man was stunned. His entire life had been dedicated to rejecting the existence of God, and now Buddha, the enlightened one, had affirmed the very thing he had denied. He too walked away, his mind filled with confusion and questions. Later that night, one of Buddha's disciples, who had been present during both conversations, approached him. The disciple was deeply troubled by the differing answers Buddha had given to the two men. His heart was restless, and his mind could not make sense of the situation. Disciple, O Lord, I am troubled by something I cannot understand. In the morning, you told one man that there is no God, and in the evening, you told another that there is a God. What is the truth? Please, tell me. I cannot sleep tonight unless I know. Buddha smiled gently, understanding the disciple's confusion. He turned to him and explained with a calm and peaceful voice. Buddha, the answers I gave them were for them and them alone. They were not meant for you. But since you ask, let me explain. The man who came in the morning was a believer in God. He had spent his life devoted to God, but he had never truly questioned the truth about himself. His spiritual journey had reached a standstill. So, I told him that there is no God. This was not to dishearten him, but to push him to look deeper within. By telling him there is no God, I invited him to question everything he believed, to search for the truth within himself. Now his spiritual quest will truly begin. Buddha paused for a moment, letting the disciple absorb his words before continuing. Buddha. The man who came in the evening was an atheist. He had spent his life denying the existence of God, but just as the believer had stopped seeking, the atheist had also stopped searching. His spiritual journey had also reached a halt. So I told him that there is a God. This was not to deceive him, but to ignite a new search for truth. Now he will begin his spiritual quest. I gave each of them what they needed to spark their spiritual journeys. The disciple listened intently, finally beginning to understand. Buddha's next words were even more profound. Buddha. In our lives, there are two types of people. Those who believe in God and those who do not. The important thing is not whether one believes in God or not. What matters is knowing the truth about oneself. The real journey is not about belief, but about self-realization. Ultimately, how far we reach on this journey will depend how badly we want to uncover the truth. Those who seek the truth with all their heart will find it. The truth is within each of us, waiting to be discovered. The disciple, now feeling at peace, sat quietly beside Buddha, understanding that the quest for truth was a personal one, and the answers would come only when the seeker was truly ready. Buddha smiled and added, "Just continue meditating, and the truth will be revealed to you." And so the disciples and seekers continued their journey, guided by Buddha's words. Whether we are believers or skeptics, the path to enlightenment does not depend on external beliefs, but on the internal quest for self-realization. In the end, it is not the belief in God that matters most, but the willingness to explore and understand the truth that resides within each of us. The path of self-realization, understanding the essence of truth. The journey of self-discovery is not a linear one. It is a path filled with questions, confusion, and ultimately profound realizations. Buddha's teachings remind us that the answers we seek are not always found in external sources or dogmatic beliefs. Instead, they lie within ourselves, waiting to be uncovered through self-reflection and meditation. In Buddha's teachings, the importance of self-realization is emphasized constantly. He believed that true spiritual growth can only occur when one looks inward. Whether one is a believer in God, an atheist, or agnostic, the essential truth that Buddha spoke of was the truth of one's own nature. The journey is not about finding proof of God or disproving his existence. It is about understanding our own existence, our consciousness, and our connection to the universe around us. Self-discovery through meditation. For Buddha, meditation was the key to self-realization. The disciple who was troubled by Buddha's contradictory answers was reminded of this in the closing words of their conversation. Buddha's advice was clear and simple: continue meditating, and the truth will be revealed to you. In meditation, one must detach from the external world, allowing the mind to settle into stillness so the deep truths that lie hidden within can surface. Meditation is not just about sitting in silence. It is an active practice of observing one's thoughts without attachment, letting them come and go without judgment. Through this process, one becomes aware of the impermanence of all things. Just like the thoughts that come and go, so too do the ideas about God, about life, and about the self. The practitioner learns to observe these passing thoughts without identifying with them, and in doing so, realizes that the truth is not something that is learned from outside, but something that is discovered within. The realization, the quest for the truth within. The journey of seeking truth, Buddha teaches, is not one that has a specific destination, but is a continual process. It is the quest of looking beyond the surface of our thoughts and beliefs and understanding the nature of the mind itself. The disciple, who had been perplexed by the differing answers Buddha gave to the two men, found clarity in this realization. The answers were not meant to be absolute truths that applied to everyone. They were responses tailored to each seeker's individual path. The theist needed to question his unwavering faith in a concept he had never fully examined, while the atheist needed to be awakened to the possibility of a higher power. Both answers were meant to stir them into deeper questioning and reflection. For one, the journey started by losing faith, and for the other, it began by opening the heart to a possibility of faith. The journey of spiritual growth. The Buddha's message was simple. To grow spiritually, one must continuously question, learn, and evolve. Spiritual growth comes not from dogmatic beliefs, but from the willingness to explore the truth within oneself. No matter the belief system, what matters most is the deep understanding of one's own consciousness, and ultimately the realization of one's true nature. In life, we encounter many people who are stuck in their beliefs. whether it is an unwavering belief in a higher power or a steadfast rejection of it. However, the true path to enlightenment does not lie in these beliefs, but in the continuous exploration of one's own mind. Buddha did not provide fixed answers to life's ultimate questions. Instead, he encouraged people to ask their own questions, and in doing so, uncover their own truths. Whether one believes in God, doesn't believe, or is uncertain, it is the personal inquiry that leads to growth. The journey does not end with the acceptance of one's beliefs. Rather, it begins when one questions those beliefs and seeks to understand their true nature. And in this quest, the self is unveiled layer by layer until the truth within is discovered. Buddha's final words: let go of attachment. One of the central teachings of Buddhism is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life changes. Beliefs, ideas, even the body itself, nothing stays the same forever. Buddha encouraged his disciples to let go of attachments to beliefs, concepts, and even the ego. By holding on to any fixed idea, one limits the potential for growth and realization. Buddha's final advice to the disciple, who had been struggling with the contradiction in his teachings, was that the journey was not about fixed answers, but about personal transformation. Let go of attachment, Buddha said. Only then will you truly understand the nature of things. This idea of letting go is vital in the Buddhist philosophy of detachment. It is not about rejecting the world or the beliefs that one holds, but about understanding their temporary nature. By recognizing that all things are impermanent, we can live more freely, embracing change and transformation as opportunities for deeper self-discovery. The path continues. In the end, Buddha's teachings leave us with a profound realization. The search for truth is personal. No two people will walk the same path, and the answers they find will not be the same. The journey is about finding what resonates within the self, questioning one's beliefs, and striving to understand the ultimate truth of existence. It's about living in the present moment, fully engaged with the process of discovery, without being attached to any preconceived notions. The real power of Buddha's teachings lies in their flexibility. The truth is not confined to any one belief system. Instead, it is about discovering the truth of one's own nature through self-reflection, meditation, and mindfulness. Whether we believe in God, reject the idea, or remain uncertain, the journey is the same: the quest to understand ourselves and our place in the universe. Through this journey, we find peace, wisdom, and ultimately enlightenment.